The life of YNW Melly was going well. You know, upcoming young rapper from the streets, overcoming all odds to hit it big. His life story would have made the perfect biopic, but alas, he became wrapped up in a murder case lasting more than 4 years. From allegedly killing his best friends to a murder trial that may even carry the death penalty. So let's take a deep dive inside YNW Melly's life behind bars. Solitary confinement. Over 3 years ago, Jamel Maurice Demons turned himself in for the murder of 2 friends in late 2018. While Melly has managed to maintain a facade of a smooth-sailing life by showcasing new shoes, releasing music, and expressing anticipation for his release, his time behind bars has been far from easy. He has faced challenges, including fights, behavioral issues, and the looming threat of the death penalty. At this point, you already know that YNW Sack Chaser and YNW Juvie were shot and killed while riding home in Fort Lauderdale. YNW Melly and YNW Bortland, their 2 friends, were also present during the incident. Melly was dropped off before Bortland drove the injured victims to the hospital. The police became suspicious due to inconsistencies in witness testimonies, and after an extensive investigation, they linked Melly and Bortland to the murders, dismissing their initial claim of a drive-by shooting. Melly's initial arrest led to a significant change in his lifestyle. While in jail, he continued to make the most of his time by spending lavishly on commissary items such as snacks, playing cards, and headphones, amounting to around $4,000 per month. He even shared glimpses of his life on Instagram, proudly displaying luxury items like Versace shoes worth thousands of dollars. Melly managed to release hit tracks, including collaborations with Lil Uzi Vert, Kodak Black, and the late Juice WRLD. His album Melly vs. Melvin even reached number 8 on the Billboard charts. But Melly's time behind bars was not without its challenges. He faced multiple behavioral incidents, starting with a 30-day solitary confinement stint for making a prohibited 3-way call on March 13, 2019. 2 months later, he received another 20-day solitary confinement punishment for disrespecting and threatening an officer. In September of the same year, he flooded his cell by flushing a towel down the toilet, leading to another 20-day solitary confinement sentence. Melly's rebellious behavior continued, resulting in further punishments, including loss of privileges and probation sentences. He allegedly said, "Yeah, I flooded it. Now go get your sergeant. I'll beat all y'all, and I have real lawyers to get me out of it." He was giving serious chaotic vibes. For this, they added an extra 10-day probation. In February 2020, Melly fought with 5 other inmates. It was almost like he was running toward drama. And guess what? He gets sentenced to another 30 days in prison with privileges taken away. So let's do a little calculation. That's more than 30 plus 30 plus 20. That's around 80 days of solitary confinement. Maybe he loves the peace and quiet of solitary, or maybe he's running from something. In April 2020, Melly tested positive for a virus while in jail. His lawyer requested that he be put on house arrest due to unsanitary conditions and concerns about his health. Tekashi 6ix9ine had also been let out on house arrest for having COVID. His legal team was hoping it would work for him. However, Melly's request was denied, and he was not provided adequate medical treatment. Allegations arose regarding the jail's negligence in checking on Melly's deteriorating health regularly. In fact, there were reports that Melly got only Tylenol and Gatorade during his illness. Yes, Tylenol and Gatorade. It was a challenging time for Melly, compounded by his already difficult circumstances. But Melly wasn't going through jail drama alone. He also had his fill of courtroom drama. Melly's legal battles were intense, with the authorities using all available resources to secure his conviction. They gathered phone records, social media posts, and testimonies to build their case. Search warrants were being dropped left, right, and center. Simulations of the crime scene were being analyzed, and the evidence against Melly kept increasing. Melly initially denied being in the car during the incident, but was later linked to the murders through phone location records and social media posts. For instance, in a social media post, he talked about how he needs to stay loyal to Bortland, which kind of made sense when you remember that the police are accusing both Melly and Bortland of conspiring together for the alleged murder. The prosecution offered him a choice: face trial and potentially receive the death penalty, or skip trial and receive a 30 to 40-year prison sentence. They tried to paint him as a gang member, using his tattoos and videos of him doing gang signs as evidence. The victims' families pushed for the death penalty, adding to the pressure on Melly. But despite everything, the evidence they had on him was circumstantial at best. The trial was postponed multiple times, most notably due to the last-minute drop of 66 pages of DNA evidence. This evidence became crucial in the case against Melly. He seized the opportunity to analyze the evidence and strengthen his defense. The prosecution provided a lot of witnesses, such as Melly's girlfriend, Mariah Hamilton, and her mother, but he filed a motion to block it immediately. The prosecution also considered bringing Drew Filmed It to the stand, a popular cameraman who shot for YNW Melly. They wanted to go through his SD card and collect any incriminating information and use it against YNW Melly. This was the same way the feds tried to get NBA YoungBoy. They tried to use his camera footage against him. So it seems like the prosecution is leaving no stone unturned in their quest to bring YNW Melly down. But Drew didn't show up to testify in court, but there was the chance that the prosecution would try and threaten Drew with jail time. So Drew lawyered up. From all indications, the prosecution is throwing its entire weight on Melly. But amidst the music and legal battles, Melly has also faced personal struggles. Being confined to a jail cell for years takes a toll on anyone's mental and emotional well-being. It's a constant battle to stay positive and maintain hope in the face of adversity. Yet Melly has managed to find moments of joy and maintain a strong spirit. His family and loved ones have been a source of support throughout this challenging journey. Melly's mother, friends, and dedicated fans have stood by his side, offering encouragement and love. They believe in his innocence and fight alongside him, advocating for justice and fairness. The outcome of this trial will undoubtedly shape the course of YNW Melly's life. Whether he walks out of the courtroom as a free man or faces a lengthy prison sentence, his story will forever be marked by this chapter. YNW Melly, the beginning. Before I jump further into the honestly dramatic journey into his jail life, we need to know who YNW Melly was before everything. In the small town of Gifford, Florida, a young artist named YNW Melly began his journey to fame. Born as Jamel Demons on May 1st, 1999, in a community with fewer than 10,000 people. In his hometown, success was often defined as a regular 9-to-5 job and a house in a different city following a routine life. But Melly dared to dream beyond these limitations. Before achieving fame, Melly collaborated with various artists such as T Grizzly, Supreme Patty, and even had the opportunity to work with Kanye West in the studio. His talent and dedication led to a growing following on social media platforms, boasting 4M Instagram followers, more than 6M YouTube subscribers, and more than 1 million SoundCloud followers at the time of this recording. Growing up in Gifford, Melly's fondest childhood memory was riding on his pet dog's back.
Yeah, riding on my dog back.
Born to a 14-year-old mother who was still in 9th grade, Melly's upbringing was challenging. They lived in the Briarwood apartments with his mother and grandmother, but later faced financial struggles when they moved to a poorer area of Gifford. Melly's mother worked at Dunkin' Donuts and later as a waitress at Chili's, often bringing him along to work. Music became a constant companion in Melly's life. Every morning he would sit on his porch with a pink radio, listening to his only CD at the time, Chris Brown's debut album. As he discovered artists like Lil Wayne, Young Thug, and Prince, their music became a source of inspiration. He was even cast as the lead in the Lion King adaptation in secondary school.
Yeah, I wanted to be Michael Jackson. Ever since I was like 5.
I mean, who doesn't want to be big like MJ? Melly attended St. Peter's Elementary School with his friend Christopher Thomas Jr., known as YNW Juvie. They shared the same neighborhood and forged a long-lasting bond, if only they knew the future. In 4th grade, Melly stayed with his uncle Ronnie, who struggled with addiction. Melly would play with his uncle's toys, including a toy gun. One day, while mimicking a fight scene from the movie Mr. and Mrs. Smith, Melly discovered a real revolver hidden under the couch. Curiosity got the best of him, and he fired the gun, temporarily losing his hearing in the process.
I was only in 4th grade, but I took that bitch everywhere. To school, I took that bitch everywhere.
His childhood was filled with adventurous and naughty moments. Imagine this. He and his friends once set the entire forest in front of their house on fire, leading to a visit from the fire department.
On some caveman shit. You're like, ooh. Burning beetles and shit. And we just set them on fire because it looked so fun. So we set everything on fire. We didn't expect that shit to like do all that. It lit the whole woods on fire. My mom be both eyes.
Melly's unconventional style and sense of individuality began to emerge during his middle school years. He would wear mismatched shoes and even dyed half of his hair blonde, leaving the other black. Luckily for Jamel Demons, he had a mama that allowed him to be himself. In high school, Melly's music aspirations started taking a more serious turn. He would rap and upload them on SoundCloud and YouTube. His love for music continued to grow, but unfortunately, so did his involvement in criminal activities. Melly began associating with the wrong crowd, getting caught up in a lifestyle that included drug dealing and other illegal activities. In fact, he even got his name Melly from an illegal activity when he stole a burger from a restaurant.
You know, to hide in the bushes. And I was like, oh shit, Melly, you just did that shit. You know, like, Melly. Fucking Melly. I'm like, Judge Mel, take the job. Melly.
This path of illegality eventually led him to some serious legal troubles. On October 19, 2015, Jamel was involved in a harrowing incident near his high school. For reasons unknown, he unleashed gunfire upon 3 individuals standing just a block away. Although he fled the scene and attempted to dispose of the weapon, he was charged with 3 counts of aggravated assault and 1 count of discharging a firearm in public. During this challenging period, Melly found solace in his music. He would often write and record songs to express his emotions and experiences. Despite his turbulent lifestyle, his talent as a rapper began to gain attention. While dealing with legal issues, Melly's music started to gain traction. His breakout hit came in 2017 with the release of his single Murder on My Mind. The song, which depicted a dark and haunting narrative, resonated with audiences and quickly became a viral sensation. Its popularity was further amplified when it caught the attention of influential hip-hop artists, producers, and law enforcement. Yes, it was that impactful. As Melly's fan base grew, he continued to release music and collaborate with other artists. His unique style, characterized by melodic flows and introspective lyrics, set him apart from his peers. Tracks like Virtual Blue Balenciagas and Mixed Personalities, featuring Kanye West, showcased his versatility and further solidified his position in the music industry. By 2018, YNW Melly had become a household name, attracting the attention of the music industry and collaborating with influential artists like Kanye West. His mixtape, I Am You, achieved gold certification, while Murder on My Mind achieved 6 times platinum status. However, beneath the fame and success, a darker side loomed. Because despite his success, things were going to change. In the fall of 2018, he was arrested and charged with several marijuana-related offenses. But that was the least of his concerns, to be honest. Because while he was out on bail, tragedy struck. In 2019, he was arrested and charged with 2 counts of first-degree murder. This would change his life forever. The charges stem from the deaths of his 2 close friends and collaborators, Christopher Thomas Jr., YNW Juvie, and Anthony Williams, YNW Sack Chaser. The case gained widespread media attention and put Melly's budding career on hold. Melly's case drew significant public interest, and opinions about his guilt or innocence were divided. Supporters believed in his innocence, claiming that he was a victim of circumstance, while others viewed him as a perpetrator of a heinous crime. The legal proceedings are ongoing, and the outcome remains uncertain. Regardless of the outcome, YNW Melly's musical abilities are undeniable. His unique blend of melodic rap and emotionally charged storytelling captivated audiences worldwide. His music resonated with listeners who connected with his struggles, aspirations, and the complexities of his life. But whatever happened turned Melly's life quite literally upside down and turned his life to one full of jail time and court proceedings. Well, that's what I'm going to talk about next. Murder in Miramar.
2 men are in jail this morning, including an up-and-coming Florida rapper. Both men are charged in a double murder. Police are saying the 2 staged a crime scene to make it look like a drive-by shooting.
In the early morning hours of October 26, 2018, YNW Melly and his friends were leaving a recording studio in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, when gunmen ambushed them in a drive-by shooting. 2 of Melly's friends, Anthony Sack Chaser Williams and Christopher Juvie Thomas Jr., were shot and killed. Melly and another friend, Cortland YNW Borton Henry, were also injured in the attack, but survived, or so it was initially reported. As the events of the fateful night unfolded, resulting in the incarceration of 2 individuals, the truth, or at least the version from law enforcement, was different. But what exactly happened? Let me run it back from the very beginning, so breathe in and follow me.
Cortland Henry and Jamel DeMons, who is better known as YNW Melly, are sitting in jail charged with shooting and killing Anthony Williams and Christopher Thomas Jr. Now, this happened back in October. We actually have aerial footage of the scene at Memorial Miramar Hospital. The victims, Anthony Williams and Christopher Thomas Jr., were dropped off at the hospital where they were pronounced dead.
The story begins at 4:35 a.m. on October 26, 2018, when YNW Bortland entered the emergency room at Memorial Miramar, located at 1701 Southwest 172nd Avenue. He sought immediate medical assistance for 2 passengers in his vehicle who were unresponsive due to multiple gunshot wounds. Medical staff promptly attended to the victims and discovered disturbing evidence. The 2018 Jeep Compass, bearing Florida registration number IEKD-22, showed signs of a violent altercation with bullet holes in its exterior. Anthony Williams, also known as the rapper YNW Sack Chaser, was seated in the front right passenger seat and had sustained gunshot wounds to his torso and head. Meanwhile, the right rear passenger, Christopher Thomas Jr., known as YNW Juvie, had been shot in the back and head. Tragically, both victims were pronounced dead upon arrival at the hospital. Authorities wasted no time in questioning the driver, YNW Bortland. The initial account of the events leading to the deaths unfolded as follows. On October 25, 2018, YNW Juvie and YNW Sack Chaser woke up like any other day, unaware of the tragic fate that awaited them. The day unfolded with the usual routines until they arranged to meet their closest friends, YNW Bortland and their group leader, Jamel Maurice Demons, widely known as YNW Melly. Under the banner of YNW, which stood for Young World, aka Young New Wave, these childhood friends banded together to pursue their dreams and escape the hardships of their environment. They shared a common goal of achieving success in the music industry and had overcome the adversities of their surroundings to forge unbreakable bonds. As the night of October 25th approached, the crew arranged to meet at the New Era recording studio at 805 Northeast 4th Ave in Fort Lauderdale. After their session at the studio concluded, they set off in the early hours of the morning on October 26th, still shrouded in darkness. As the darkness enveloped the streets, unaware of the unfolding tragedy, the crew embarked on their journey. As they drove from the recording studio, the night sky seemed to hold 1,000 secrets. Their minds were focused on their music, their lyrics, and the potential fame beyond their neighborhood. But destiny had different plans for them. Approaching the intersection of Southwest 106th Ave and Dykes Road, a vehicle materialized beside them. Sound of gunshots shattered the stillness of the night, sending shockwaves through the hearts of the young artists. It was a moment of chaos and fear, forcing YNW Bortland to instinctively protect himself by seeking refuge on the floorboard. The barrage of bullets ceased, leaving behind an eerie silence. YNW Bortland cautiously rose from his protective stance, only to be confronted by a horror scene. Juvie and Sack Chaser, his cherished friends, lay wounded and gasping for breath. However, in the days that followed, investigations unraveled the shocking truth behind that unfortunate night. It was revealed that the crime scene had been meticulously staged, the events carefully orchestrated to deceive authorities. So everything I said up until this point may as well be make-believe.
The shooting actually took place in another location. Miramar Police has not released where exactly this took place, but they say through forensic evidence, they were able to determine that this crime scene was staged.
Their once unbreakable bond of brotherhood had given way to a web of deceit and betrayal. The shooting sent shockwaves through the rap community and sparked widespread outrage. Fans and fellow artists alike expressed their condolences on social media, and many called for an end to the violence that had claimed the lives of so many young people in the industry. But as for the story of what initially happened, there were so many inconsistencies. But despite the tragedy, YNW Melly continued to make music and release new songs. In January 2019, he dropped his debut album, We All Shine, which featured collaborations with Kanye West and Fredo Bang. The album was a commercial success, but it also drew criticism from some quarters for its violent and misogynistic lyrics. For a moment, it seemed like all was well, but on the 12th of February 2019, Bortland was arrested for 2 counts of first-degree hits. Subsequently, a warrant was released for YNW Melly, but he turned himself in. He was then charged with 2 counts of first-degree murder concerning the deaths of Sack Chaser and Juvie. But despite the entire narrative that they were innocent, the police maintained that they staged a crime scene. But Melly remained firm in his stance that he didn't do anything wrong. In fact, he was seen online mourning his friends and reassuring all his fans and followers that he did nothing wrong. But as the investigation unfolded, the evidence of wrongdoing didn't just point to the fact Melly and Bortland were lying, but that Melly himself killed both Sack Chaser and Juvie, evidence against YNW Melly. To find out what happened, law enforcement used almost every resource at their disposal, from tracking dogs to search warrants. Law enforcement used investigative technology to find out where Bortland, Melly, Juvie, and Sack Chaser were sitting in the car and piece together what actually happened that fateful night. No one was sure what the altercation that sparked up in the car was about, but something significant happened that led to shots fired. The trajectory mapping of the bullets suggested that the bullets didn't come from outside the car, but inside. Thus, the story of a drive-by shooting just didn't make sense. Finally, 3 major conclusions were made. The shooting came from inside the car, the bullet wounds on Sack Chaser and Juvie were at close range, and finally, the shots fired came from Melly's seat that killed Juvie and Sack Chaser, thus changing everything and turning the murder from an outside hit to an inside job. The autopsy report certainly didn't help his case. Sack Chaser's bullet wound went from back to front, left to right, and upward, with a wound in his chest and right shoulder. This directly contradicted the account that stated that the drive-by shooting occurred from the right side of the car while in motion. None of the flight paths of the exterior vehicle matched the wound paths at the back of Sack Chaser's head. Additionally, Juvie had a wound entry from the left side of his face and back. This was after he got a shot to his head and leaned left. Given the seating of the YNW group when they left the studio, the only plausible possibility was that the bullets came from where YNW Melly was seated.
Now, these two victims were also aspiring rappers, and they were apparently friends of Jamel Demons, or YNW Melly. He even took to social media after police say he shot and killed them to mourn their deaths.
Between 3:30 a.m. and 4:30 a.m. on October 6, 2018, the deaths of YNW Sack Chaser and YNW Juvie occurred with the direct involvement of YNW Melly and YNW Bortland, two men they called friends. It was due to this level of evidence laid on them that both of them were arrested in February 2019.
YNW Melly, as well as another man, are being held here at the Broward County Jail this morning. They are each charged with 2 counts of first-degree murder, and they're also accused of, as you said, staging this crime scene to appear as though it was a drive-by shooting.
To further support the claim from the police, it was discovered through data from T-Mobile that both YNW Bortland and YNW Melly drove around with their lifeless friends in the vehicle for an extended period. This gave weight to the theory that during that time, they may have used the opportunity to align their stories and concoct a false narrative. This was the biggest find, as it showed that Melly and Bortland conspired. The cell phone record showed both of them west of I-75 around 4:25 a.m. in Pembroke, with Melly leaving the car around 4:22 a.m. This was before only Bortland got to the hospital at 4:35 a.m., thus showing a very deliberate movement to confuse law enforcement. Another aspect that further buttressed law enforcement's claim was that no glass was found from the shattered window in the vehicle. So, using data from the K9 unit and data from the phone, they were able to find the exact location of the shattered glass at the real crime scene. And to no surprise there, the shattered glass matched the glass on the Jeep. They would also collect 840 caliber shell casings that matched the bullets found around Melly's seat. So law enforcement inferred that the culprit stood outside the vehicle and shot into it to make it seem like a drive-by. This was after they had allegedly shot Sack Chaser and Juvie inside the car. Technology became an unexpected obstacle to their deceptive plot. Surveillance cameras at the recording studio and the hospital captured crucial evidence. Bortland had been seen leaving the studio wearing a black t-shirt, but when he arrived at the hospital, he was sporting something different, a black hoodie. Subsequently, the black hoodie was thoroughly examined and found to be clean. However, what lay beneath the hoodie told investigators everything they needed to know. On the black t-shirt, they discovered bloodstains, both on the front and back of the garment. This compelling evidence further deepened the gravity of the charges against them. Due to the heinous nature of the crimes, prosecutors sought the ultimate punishment for YNW Melly. They believed he had meticulously planned and executed the murders for financial gain. Capital punishment loomed over him as he awaited trial, imprisoned without bond. In a small victory for his legal team in July 2022, the capital punishment charge was dropped. Nonetheless, it serves as a temporary reprieve as the weight of evidence against him continues to mount. This includes newly discovered phone messages exchanged between YNW Melly and his girlfriend, believed to be a conversation in which he is blamed for involving Bortland in the plot that led to the deaths of Juvie and Sack Chaser. In the messages, he said, "This saved my life. He coming everywhere with me cause of them crackers come grab him. It's my fault you forgot. I keep Bortland with me cause at the end of the day, he did one of the realest in my life." Oh, and lest I forget, the prosecution also presented evidence that Melly had confessed to the murders in his Murder on My Mind song. But no one knows how well it would hold because the song happened before the crime. Only time, along with the strategic defense mounted by Melly's legal team, will reveal the ultimate fate of their names and lives, whether they will be forgiven and have their names cleared or remain confined behind prison walls. And so, the tale of these aspiring artists, once woven with hope and ambition, transformed into a cautionary tale, a stark reminder that the pursuit of dreams should never lead down a path of dishonesty and violence. But watch this video taken on Facebook Live of Melly just hours after the murder.
You see him? Melly still turned regardless of what happened this early morning. He's still out here being very positive. Turned still.
This was their reaction just hours after the murder of their friends. Next, pressure from prosecution life in jail has dramatically changed for YNW Melly, as recent developments, including the release of new evidence and leaked audio from YNW Bortland, have taken a toll on him. This all happened close to the trial date approaching, and with the mounting evidence, the courtroom does not appear to favor him. In a recent revelation, YNW Melly shared his experience behind bars since the leaked evidence emerged. Initially, YNW Melly and his close friend YNW Bortland were arrested as the primary suspects in the cases involving the deaths of YNW Sackchaser and YNW Juvie. However, YNW Bortland was released on bond after significant evidence was found against YNW Melly. Rumors surfaced suggesting that YNW Bortland might have cooperated with the authorities to secure his release. Yet, an interview with YNW Bortland at the hospital where Sackchaser and Juvie were taken on the night of their arrests has now been released, shedding light on the situation. In the interview, YNW Bortland can be heard expressing his concerns about his safety while driving and avoiding potential danger.
And I'm driving, ducking for my life, trying to make sure I don't get hit. And you telling me, you telling me about this? I don't know. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to make sure I don't get hit. I'm driving. I'm trying to make sure I don't get hit. You know what I'm saying?
The detective in the audio states that there is no evidence, but it is evident that there are discrepancies in Sackchaser's story.
But if you tell me it happened there's got to be some evidence there. There's going to be broken glass, just like there's broken glass over here when you guys open the doors and stuff like that. Okay, there's going to be broken glass over there when the windows got shot out. There's going to be casings from the people shooting at your car. Okay, there's going to be evidence over there.
It becomes clear that there are unknown aspects to the case because the reported crime from Melly and Bortland doesn't align with law enforcement's own. Interestingly, YNW Melly was unaware of this interview until a week after its release. Following this revelation, YNW Melly opened up about his life in jail, painting a grim picture. He shared 2 photos on his Instagram page, the first being his mugshot. In the caption, he expressed his nervousness about his current situation. YNW Melly explained that he had been subjected to harsher punishments and restrictions imposed by the newly appointed Captain Huber and Ikso Jank. He was confined to a unit meant for 24 inmates, but he was the only one housed there without phone privileges, television access, or even a newspaper. Every move he made was monitored by cameras, preventing him from exposing the mistreatment he faced. During his 1 hour of daily freedom, all other inmates in the adjacent dorms were locked in their cells. YNW Melly claimed to endure cruel and unusual treatment from the deputies and high-ranking staff of the Broward Sheriff's Office. He alleged that they had explicitly stated their dislike for him and threatened him regularly. YNW Melly felt isolated and feared for his life, prompting him to appeal for a transfer to another county jail until his trial. He also adds in another post that his phone privileges have been taken permanently. He says the authorities removed the privileges because of his past infraction. But YNW Melly says that it's not true that his phone privileges were taken because he used another prisoner's phone pin. However, his privileges were supposed to be returned after 30 days, according to the handbook. But he has gone months without any phone privileges. He adds that he's being victimized despite having fewer infractions than other inmates. Interestingly, it was revealed that YNW Melly was almost released from jail at one point. His mother expressed joy on Instagram when the penalties were allegedly removed from his case. However, the good news was short-lived. News outlets later reported that YNW Melly was accused of conspiring with one of his lawyers to plan a prison escape. The Broward County Jail revealed in an interview that they received a confidential tip about YNW Melly and another inmate planning an escape by obtaining handcuff keys through his attorney. The official statement says, on April 11, 2022, Broward Sheriff's Office received a confidential tip regarding inmates Nicholas Lewis and Jamel Demons, both housed in the same unit at the main jail, planning an escape from jail by having Demons' attorney bring in 2 handcuff keys to aid in the escape. Additional information provided by the source was that Lewis had a shank and drugs, but Melly's mom stated that the allegations were yet another attempt to tarnish YNW Melly's character.
Okay, so I'm at work and I just seen this crazy story. First of all, this is just another tactic for them to try to literally just tarnish my son's character and everything. They do not want him having attorney visits in person, which will cause for ineffective counsel. So we went to court for that. and they took his phone calls and they have him locked down.
She then adds the prosecution has no case against him, so they're focusing on the media to tarnish his image.
They had no evidence whatsoever that his attorneys did anything wrong to prove these accusations, but they knew it would get picked up by the media. So when we get ready to pick a jury, hopefully within the next 2 weeks, it's gonna be, oh, this kid tried to escape. Oh, this kid tried to do all these things. This is all fake.
At this point, it's no news that the prosecution 100% believes he did it and is making sure to use every resource at their disposal to recreate a crime scene. But despite the ongoing challenges, YNW Melly's defense team has been preparing for his trial, emphasizing the importance of addressing matters in court rather than on social media. They believe that a fair defense is crucial for revealing the truth behind the case. However, it seems that whenever a positive development occurs for YNW Melly, something negative followed. As the trial approached, the only thing the defense could do was get their arguments and strategies ready. Amid these legal battles, YNW Melly's music manager, 100K Trap, continues to voice his unwavering belief in Melly's innocence. He maintains that Melly has built a strong defense team, fully prepared to fight for his freedom. However, the court of public opinion remains divided, with some quick to judge and others reserving their judgment until all the facts are presented in court. Nevertheless, the road ahead remains uncertain for YNW Melly, who continues to face a difficult battle. Inside YNW Melly's life behind bars, the struggle for freedom and justice continues. The story of a rising star halted in his tracks, his future hanging in the balance, and the truth yet to be revealed. The courtroom doors stand as the gateway to his fate, where the final chapter of this gripping saga will unfold. The trial unfolds. On June 12, 2023, Melly's trial officially began. The YNW Melly trial took a brief break, but recent development has added a concerning twist to the proceedings. A new piece of evidence has surfaced, revealing a connection between the Stranger Things jacket worn by YNW Melly in a video shortly after the crime and the same jacket that YNW Juvie had on when they left the studio early that morning. While YNW Bortland wore the one that Sack Chaser had on, the coincidence is uncanny and raises some questions. Additionally, a Facebook Live video recorded just hours after the crime captures YNW Melly and YNW Bortland seemingly unbothered and positive, showing their demeanor and state of mind at the time. The video, recorded on October 26, 2018, which coincides with the day of the crime, does not feature the exact jackets found in the vehicle, but rather identical versions. Shortly after the video's release, YNW Bortland appeared in court for a hearing.
We're set for October 3rd.
Trial for YNW Bortland, YNW Melly's co-defendant, has been scheduled to begin on October 3rd. During the hearing, some questions were raised regarding why YNW Bortland was granted bail, while YNW Melly was not. The answer provided was based on the charges and YNW Bortland's minimal prior criminal history.
He was able to negotiate a bond for him because of the charges that he was charged with, because they felt that he wasn't the trigger man, and because of his prior criminal history, which I think was very sparse.
Furthermore, the possibility of YNW Bortland considering a plea deal emerged during the hearing. While it is uncommon for a plea to be entered in the middle of a trial, it is not impossible. Online lawyers speculate that this could be likely, given how YNW Melly's lawyers are handling the case. A forensic expert, a respected veteran in the field, testified and shared critical information regarding the incident. He explained that the evidence suggests the crime was not a drive-by shooting.
So these angles are important because it is part of my assignment, which is to determine if this is a drive-by shooting. And my determination was that this is not a drive-by shooting.
The expert's analysis pointed to YNW Melly as the one who used the firearm.
The shooter is at a stationary position when all but one of these rounds are going in.
The rounds fired both inside and outside the vehicle indicate a stationary position, except for one round that showed slight movement. Melly's defense team focused their questioning on the prosecution's opinion rather than attempting to disprove it. The defense is expected to present its experts to challenge the prosecution's claims, and it appears that YNW Bortland may have a more significant role in the defense's strategy. The defense also highlighted the fact that YNW Bortland previously made false statements about the incident, indicating that he lied to the authorities.
And you are aware that the person that claimed it was a drive-by shooting is Cortland Henry.
I believe so.
This revelation was not the first time the defense brought attention to Bortland's inconsistencies. From the beginning of the trial, they pointed out that Bortland had powder residue on his hands and changed his clothing after dropping off Sack Chaser and Juvie at the hospital.
Cortland Henry shows up at Memorial hospital, Miramar. He shows up with a change of clothing, change of shirt, gunpowder residue on his hands, evidencing that he had discharged a firearm. And he lies. He lies about where the incident occurred. He lies about how it occurred. And he lies about not having a phone.
Moreover, Bortland and Melly were the only two individuals in the vehicle, strengthening the defense's argument. As the trial continues, it remains to be seen how the defense will counter the prosecution's evidence and whether YNW Bortland will consider a plea deal. The trial's twists and turns have captivated online observers, leaving many eagerly awaiting the next phase of the proceedings. Forensic scientists testified, sharing their findings that suggested Bortland's involvement. The residue analysis showed no particles characteristic of gun residue on Cortland Henry's right hand, but two component particles were found. On his left hand, there was one particle of characteristic heart residue and one two-component particle.
Basically, overall, there was heart residue present on the hands.
This revelation added a new layer of complexity to the trial, as it wasn't even YNW Bortland's trial yet. However, Melly's defense team made it clear to the jury that Bortland was present in the car during the incident. They hinted at the possibility of Bortland's involvement in the crime. This could potentially lead to Bortland making a plea deal and revealing the truth about Melly's guilt. This situation paralleled YNW Juvie's family, who also sought justice for their lost loved one. Recently, YNW Juvie's mother took the stand to identify her son in the surveillance footage from the recording studio. She confirmed that he entered the car from the back seat on the right-hand side. She also recognized Jamel Demons, or YNW Melly, as the individual who entered the back seat on the left side. Meanwhile, YNW Juvie's father, who was expected to testify, was disqualified as a witness due to his social media activity. Just a week prior, he had expressed his belief in Melly's guilt, citing the lack of remorse and grieving from Melly and Bortland. Frustrated by their behavior, he took to social media to voice his suspicions, further complicating the case.
The day one, I believe that Melly was responsible for my son on October 26th when I first heard the story. Because
during the trial, a crucial piece of evidence triggered a reaction from YNW Melly. When a firearm expert stated that he couldn't identify the item used in the crime, Melly responded with disbelief. This reaction was met with disapproval from Juvie's father and the family of Sack Chaser, as they believed Melly's response lacked remorse. The trial continued with an undercover detective, Danny Polo, taking the stand. Initially, Polo had made statements suggesting Melly's guilt, but now he was required to remove his mask for the testimony. This action piqued Melly's interest, implying that he recognized Polo from the streets. To the prosecution's dismay, their witnesses inadvertently made Melly appear innocent. The FBI agent specialized in cell phone data analysis testified that precise locations couldn't be determined from the phone's data.
Based on the information, you can't really tell the court precisely which locations these phones are following in Kenya.
One of the limitations of cellular analysis is that you can only say a general area where the device would be at a given time.
This lack of specific evidence raised doubts about the prosecution's case. Similarly, a DNA specialist examined items recovered at the crime scene and found that YNW Melly's DNA was not present on multiple items, including Gucci sandals, a t-shirt, Air Jordans, and Gatorade bottles. This further challenged the prosecution's narrative. However, Melly's DNA was found on the car door handle, but no surprise there, as he was seen getting into the vehicle. With each prosecution witness, the defense unintentionally bolstered Melly's defense, leaving the victims' families disheartened. The trial had taken unexpected turns, leaving the truth behind the tragic events yet to be fully revealed. And still, so much more was revealed during the trial, such as Fredo Bang's alleged involvement in the case. The defense is trying to say that he picked Melly up before the crime was committed. Melly's lawyers are trying to create doubt in the jury's minds. They argue that just because his DNA was not found on certain items does not mean he was involved in the crime. They emphasize the fact that there were multiple people in the vehicle, and it's possible that others had touched those items. But the trial is still ongoing, and there's more to be revealed that this video cannot cover, at least not yet. But at this point, the case could go any way. Inside YNW Melly's life behind bars has become something of a thrilling, convoluted drama full of twists and turns. But at the core, these are the lives of real people at stake. The only thing we can do is watch and hope that the law does what it's supposed to do, and the right person or persons are brought to book. Thanks for watching. Remember to click on the videos on your screen for more similar content. Till next time.